Okay, everybody. We thought it would be helpful to give out a quick kind of aerial view, or more of a piece by piece explanation of some of the camp layouts that we were talking about today. Hopefully, this will give context for what resources you'll have and what things you want to bring with you. Here at the top of the screen, an important part about this is, as it says here, that this is not to scale. If you look up in the top right hand side here, you got camp entrance, and you're going to come down this main road here that's going to lead you into camp. So major kind of landmarks here is, this is the dining hall. That's where food's going to be prepped and distributed. We've got our big amphitheater here that fits about 1,000 people. That's pretty exciting. We got some big open fields here on the east side. We've got our climbing and some other things out here. Here's the Sycamore Chapel. Here's the lake. Kind of cool place. But anyway, we thought we'd lay out a little bit about camps, of what specific things you'll have access to and what things that you want to think about bringing. So I'm just going to zoom in here. There's 18 camps. You see there's kind of a north side up here. And then down here on the south side, we've got 6 camps, and I'm just going to zoom in on 18. Now, you'll see here, it calls it campsite 18, but you'll see here that there's a B, a C, and a D. And so what that implies is the actual 18, quote unquote, that's a fixed ramada, and that has got kind of a main campfire ring there. And then you'll see that B and C and D are sub-campsites. So for the functions of Boy Scouts, if there were multiple troops from other places that were sharing the same main campsite, that they could all have separate small camps in the same larger campsite. So this campsite 18 and other ones around it are, some are up to 2 or 3 acres. It's a very large space. But just plan on, I think contextually, if you think of it as about a size as about an acre for most campsites, is pretty accurate. So if you were to think about it, say that this was, let's say Meridian Ward, and we were to put 3 Meridian families at campsite 18. And so one would be assigned to B, one would be assigned to C, and one would be assigned to D. The actual 18, the main campsite, we're going to reserve that as kind of a main gathering place. Like I said, there's a ramada there. That's where we're thinking that bishops, if they were to camp there, ward representatives, maybe other people from the stake that would like to camp in one of the ward camps, they could stay there. But the B, C, and D is where your specific families will be. So if you were to look at it and to say one of the families from Meridian Ward, if they were to use this campsite C that they would be assigned to, just imagine that out here you'd have all this space to kind of separate out. So what we were thinking is, if there were 3 tents that you could line up, obviously boys on one side, girls on the other, ma and pa in the middle, and then if you were to have, say, a table, some sort of cook station here, and maybe that's where you're going to put your canopy over. There's lots of tree coverage in these places. Like I said, if you wanted to use this paracord and a tarp to give you some shade or protection from rain. Now, at each campsite, as of right now, they've agreed that they will put a fire pit for B, C, and D for us. So there'll be fire pits for each family. And then in addition to that, they've also agreed that they'll put out picnic tables for each of those locations. So you'll have access to a picnic table and a fire ring that's specific to your family. So each 18C, D, and B will all have their own picnic table and their own fire ring. Now, campsite 18, all of those 3 families will share the same fixed ramada. They will share the same, there is a latrine that's got 2 separate toilets. And there's a hand washing station. There are multiple sites of spigots for potable water throughout this entire campsite. So you'll have access to water for washing and hygiene and anything else that you need it for. But utilizing those, just kind of imagine that you'd have multiple families kind of spread out in these areas. And so as you look at your list of things that you're going to bring, maybe just kind of think of ways that you would you'd want to separate your tables and your canopies. We'd like to separate families as much as possible. The stake presidency's asked that you camp and cook specifically in families, so in smaller groups, but not to combine with other families or ward members to do that. So I think just kind of having an aerial view, each campsite, so campsite 18 will have one set of latrines, so 2 toilets. It'll have one ramada. It will have one main campsite where you guys could have like a ward testimony meeting, and we'll talk about that on itinerary. But just to give you some context for what you'll have access to within that specific area. So hopefully that makes sense in the big scheme of things. It's kind of confusing to think about. There is a campsite 18, but within 18 there are multiple smaller campsites, and that's where families will be camping. Most wards are going to average 3 families per campsite. Like I said, some of them are much larger than others, but all of them are I mean, they're at least half an acre, if not to an acre, for each campsite 18. And you look up here, almost all of them have 3 sub-campsites to them. So if that makes any more sense, hopefully that clarifies some of the content from today, and it'll help you to know what equipment you'll need. So to have your own family canopy, your own family stove, you'll have access to all those things. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. We'll send this stuff out. With further questions, let us know. Maybe we'll make some more videos like this. Hopefully it can be helpful. But look at the map, kind of think where things will be. We've got some climbing activities. We've got some survivor or kind of escape room type activities. There's the hike and swim, the pools down here. I mean, lots of great things to do. So anyway, hopefully you guys are doing great. Lots of information given out today. Let us know any questions that you have. Ward reps will be meeting with you guys more about how to transport equipment for Moz and Paws up there. But anyway, yeah, we're excited, and we'll talk to you guys soon.